everyone, welcome to the channel for new battle report. So this is going to be a new series of battle report from a tournament. This is the Orc International. Thanks a lot to my friends Orc for organizing this tournament. Really happy to take part to this huge online tournament. So we see that's 9th age, even after the version 3.0 is still quite popular with a lot of team attending. This is round number 1. We are facing Team Ronin. They have a mix of players from different countries. I was facing Enrique from Spain, and we both were playing Infernal Dwarves. Regarding the pairing, it went quite well in our opinion. We had multiple positive, and this one was a drawish matchup. Yeah, it's a mirror match with, you will see, quite similar list. You should already know my list. If not, I recommend you to watch the previous video, which is an explanation of why I picked what and how the list is working, or supposed to work at least. And my opponent was playing the following. So he has a very MSU type of army, a lot of small units, a bigger block of Citadel Guardian Corps. You see multiple Immortal are quite strong at the moment. Triple Gunnery team, yeah, it's clearly the best entry in the book at the moment, so why not pick 3 of them? I made the same choice. So we have 2 Rocket, a Titan Mortar, and then he had also another Titan Mortar on the engine, and then minimal magical setup with Vassal Conjure, Adept of Pyro. We played Forage and Plunder, the new version of it, and you will see the changes. I got as secondary Unleash the Big Guns, which were basically, he won the roll for side, which was the key role, I think, in this battle, but we'll talk more about that, I think, in the deployment phase, because it's easier to realize. And he got settled the score. He needed to kill my Kadim Incarnate, I think so, yeah. And then we got Cornerstone. Something new I learned about Cornerstone, I was pretty sure it was the most expensive rank and file scoring unit, which needed to be 6 inch from the center. And actually it's not the scoring, it's the most expensive rank and file, which in my case tend to be the Incarnate, and that's not so enjoyable because his settle the score is to kill the Incarnate. So he knew already that they were going in the middle of the map, which wasn't good news for me, because I definitely, here you will read in the matchup analysis, my Incarnate have to avoid the rocket and try to threaten the tank. And if I'm blocked with the positioning of the Incarnate, I cannot avoid the rocket, and I cannot choose where I'm going to be, and also cannot choose to be in a zone where I could potentially threaten the tank with a grind. Magic, I felt I have an advantage here. His magic will do nothing this game. Primary, yeah, he has a high number of scoring, so that could give him an advantage. I have a slightly bigger unit. And definitely here, the one shooting the first will have an advantage, so it could be better to play second. We have same range with shooting. We can optimize matchup if playing second, so definitely seems better here to play second. Let's see the deployment. So the huge problem I had on this map is basically according to the new rule of Forage and Plunder. This one is automatic. Then my opponent won the roll for side. He picked this one. And then the only eligible choice on this deployment for me is the lake in his deployment zone, which is obviously a new issue. I had the feeling like pointing a gun at my own feet with somebody holding the gun. Basically, that was the feeling I had, because I'm making the worst choice, but I can't do otherwise. And I must say, with the old King of the Hill, it was a bit too standoffish, obviously, but the fact that you could choose the same train as the opponent was making things, at least you had in mind that you could do something. In that case, I had really the feeling I'm making a very bad choice, but I have no other choice. So that was a very bad start for me. Thinking, okay, starting with one of the 3 plundered, and as you can see, the ruin is very close to his deployment zone. So yeah, things not looking good. I had Unleashed the Big Gun. I elect the lake and the ruin in the middle, and I felt let's try to push for the middle. So I went with the controversial choice here to drop everything for the first turn. I thought it's not looking good for the primary, so let's try to play quite compact on the left half and push hard on the map and try to establish some board control and try to reach the 2 train on the left, and yeah, protect the lake on the left to avoid him getting into the lake and trying to get a draw on the primary, basically. What I didn't like is the fact that I was going to play first and he could be out of range, which he did, so that's a bit of an issue. but we'll come back to that later. Let's move on to my turn 1. Yeah, maybe let me explain you the deployment first. I have Lugar on the left, the Slave. Here I have the Gunnery within the unit of Warrior Shield. Incarnate, which were forced to be here. Then we have Citadel Guard with Titan Mortar. We have Rocket Battery in Immortal. And then after his deployment, he has Citadel Pistol, the Titan Mortar on the engine. We have Rocket Immortal. Yeah, I think so. Then we have Lugar, Immortal Great Weapon, little Citadel Guard with Pistol, and then in the back his Vassal unit. So I tried to push hard. Obviously, the other problem for me, I was out of range for magic as well. So I only got, I think he made a small mistake, which was not to use all his dice to dispel Hereditary on the tank. He tried to dispel with 4 dice against my 4, which obviously wasn't the best choice because I was able to go through. And then I also got a ward save on Citadel, which didn't matter much, to be honest. I think the key choice here for him would have been to stop Hereditary, but yeah, it's not that much of an impact. But anyway, I could then try to get Flaming Sword on the rocket, shoot at the tank, and then get a nice 5-up rollable to wound. Not that bad, obviously. His turn 1, he pushed toward me, and he started to do damage. He got a Pyro spell, which is going to be Amnesia, but still kill 2 Immortal. And then with 8 shot from Rocket Battery, he kills 7 Immortal. I think that's one of the issues with Rocket Battery at the moment, is the fact that they are also very strong against elite infantry. So here he kills 7. Titan Mortar, the 2 combined managed to kill 9 Lugars. So I'm in huge trouble because I lost 9 Immortal, so half of the Immortal, and yeah, close to half of the Lugar on the left. Wow, yeah, that was costly, and I cannot push forward the Incarnate, so they just reform, move back, and I realize now that I would be able to maybe redeploy them more or less, but I need to avoid the rocket because that's the secondary here. So, and I'm starting to realize, you see here 5 combat units together against 2. And 2, and those guys here just lost 9 guys. So I'm not going to be able to reach the rune. So actually my kind of test or attempt to try to drop to get port control will not be successful here. And that's going to be a huge problem. Let's move on turn 2. Yeah, I failed Gravecall on 4 dice. I'm going to get Titan Mortar, kill some Lugar, kill some with the Rocket Battery and the Nafta. He will do the same. And more or less the rest of the game will be him pushing towards me. We both doing some damage, but I cannot really threaten this 5 block together. Actually, I have no charge. I'm starting to redeploy the Incarnate to try to get something here. I plundered the lake, but he plundered the ruin and plundered this lake, and there isn't much I will be able to do about it. I've tried to look, turn 5, can I chaff here, push those guys in the ruin? I had the movement to do it with 8 to be inside, but that's only Warrior with shield. I cannot survive to 3 rounds of combat against Lugar and Immortal, plus maybe something that will come on his 6, so that was way too dangerous. He will finish my Immortal with his shooting. I'm able to escape with the Gunnery, escape with the Prophet, and move back with the Nafta. But basically kill my Immortal, and towards the end I will be able to... He's going to do the last 6-up save to save the last Immortal, so the last Immortal will survive while he kill mine. And on the last turn he will be able, while focusing those Citadel Guard, to get exactly what he needed, which is leaving me with 5 guys to get half the unit. So yeah, basically I was like lost on the secondary on the primary after deployment, and then the rest, the points were just a question of the dice roll, I felt. And in that case, he was able to just do more than me because, yeah, I was really close to get full Immortal, and I think half the Citadel was really lucky for him. Towards the end, he did a lot of damage with the shooting, and that's how it is. I mean, we knew that was going to be just dice thrown, but obviously very frustrating game for me. I had the feeling after deployment, I have no way, after turn 1, no way to change the turn of event. And that was really frustrating here. The primary felt lost at the first roll. Obviously very complicated situation, but nevertheless, I think it wasn't lost completely. I think I could have come up with a better macro plan on the deployment, but I will come to that with a picture afterwards. Yeah, Incarnate pinned to the center was, I think, very bad news for me. In hindsight, to his also considering his secondary being killing the Incarnate was huge problem. Obviously, playing first, I think, was a mistake here. And deployment, yeah, I thought the center would be accessible at some point. I obviously overestimated my range damage. He did a bit too much at the beginning, which caused trouble, but we saw the deployment. He was able to just adapt to my deployment and just overwhelm one zone of the map where I will try to push with the number of units that is higher than mine. And I think it wasn't the best for me to try to play that compact here. Putting a scoring on the right, I think that would have been a best solution. I think the game was just too comfortable for him. He was able just to push forward, through some dice. He was sitting on 13, and then just a question of luck if it's 12, 13, 14, 15. So, yeah. I think it was too easy here. I should have come up with different plan. And I think, yeah, finally, when I saw I had the range damage advantage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I talk about that, the 2 points. Anyway, let's come back to the deployment. I think it's the most interesting thing about this battle report. And I will never stop to be surprised by how battle report, or generally speaking, analyzing your game picture with a cold head can help you to realize the number of mistakes that you can do. Because in that kind of game, you just finish the game and thinking, yeah, I lost at the first roll and that's it. I mean, that was what I had in mind directly, immediately after the game. Just frustrating feeling, I could do nothing, it was the first roll, and it's annoying. Basically, that was my feeling. But when you look at the picture again, you think, okay, why put the Incarnate on the starting line? Let's put as much distance as possible with the rocket battery, first of all. Second of all, general consideration, do I need to start? I don't think so. Basically, the one starting will be showing a lot of information, and I think here uncertainty is the key. And like we said, if it's dropping at some point, maybe it's dropping to make the other start. I think that's a decent consideration as well. I think here, thinking about train, there are definitely some good spots here. This one is just behind the lake and touching and getting the plunder and then defending the lake, and the one willing to engage in the lake will be losing, most likely. And the other one is the lake on the right. If he wants to plunder, maybe at some point, a quick unit like the Lugar could have threatened here. The vassal levies alone are not enough, so he needs to commit something more to them. It forces him to potentially split the shooting, so he cannot put everything together, because you see his shooting is well combined together and can operate together. I think if I make him split the shot along the map, I think that's better for me because I have bigger unit. So I think that's 1 point. Incarnate, I think I could have started 6-inch, but all the way to the back. And then with the first couple of wheel, I reached a good position on turn 3. On one side or the other of my deployment zone. So I think that would have been a better choice. The warrior with shield, who are resilient unit, should have here tried to get this spot on the left, just blocking him. The Lugars can start on the right. They can use the field early on if he wants to put pistol citadel guard, and then they can push forward. And it's going to be hard for him to defend that lake that easy, or at least he need to put more resources. Still, that's the Lugar, so if he puts the tank and gets some shot on me, maybe I can get decent combat with Hereditary, getting reroll to wound with the Lugar and +1 to wound, can get doable. So I think here I augment my chains, because basically he needs to put units to defend that, at least 2, I think, vassal plus something else. On the left, I can still protect the lake together between the slave and the warrior. I think that's enough to defend that lake. Will not be that easy for him. And then for the center, that will be at least 1 unit less in the center. So I have maybe a higher chance of approaching the ruin. Yeah, I think he will have more choice to make, and that's going to be less comfortable. So I think here, let's be honest, it was a bad macro for me. Obviously, it's always easier to realize that after you played the battle, obviously. It's kind of hard to realize. I think I was here also caught off guard by the new Forage and Plunder and the fact that I wasn't prepared for being that unbalanced or to his advantage just after deployment. Just with the first roll, like him getting that lake in his deployment zone was obviously a huge problem for me. And he had already a good advantage on the match with that. So that was already something that forces me to adjust my plan, and then I didn't find a good solution. But I think here, yeah, I made multiple mistakes at the deployment stage, and that was realized after in the game and felt a game that I couldn't win anymore. So yeah, as always, it's in the defeat that you learn the more. obviously it hurts and you're like frustrated after this type of game, but that can happen. I'm hoping for my teammate to compensate my loss. At the moment we are winning a bit, but still 2 games to be played, so we will see how that end up. But obviously not such a good start for me, but plenty of learning points, so I think as always that's the most important, and I hope that you can also take some learning out of this game with you. Guys, thanks a lot for watching the battle report. I will talk to you soon for the game number 2. Goodbye.